we coming from the true space. We ain't entertaining neighbors, I don't give a fuck what you say. Found the universal coochie, planting seeds and birds fruit. Now I'm really looking juicy. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space. Welcome to the true space. Yeah, bitch, welcome to the true space.
Welcome to True Space. My name is Open Book. This is my
Hey
partner.
guys, welcome back to True Space.
Yep, and this is your weekly horoscope. So let's get into these energies. On Monday, we're having the full moon in Sagittarius, reaping all the seeds that we had planted in that new moon in Gemini a couple weeks past. How do you think this energy is gonna hit us
So
home?
right now we're experiencing the full moon and the sun also being in the mutable sign. So this is a mutable axis. This is a very hard axis to get hauled onto because it's a very flexible, adaptable, it's indecisive. The sun really forced us to really pay attention to new ideas, get scattered, learn how to communicate about just new values what we're developing with Uranus in Taurus. So the full moon in Sagittarius is basically the full accumulation of that travel and us look at everything from this high spiritual point of view, trying to be optimistic and broad-minded about what we gathered so far with our ideas, our thoughts, our scatteredness in our surroundings. So this is almost like you taking a trip and then you coming up with a religious philosophical conclusion about everything that you experienced about your values.
For sure, for sure. It's really that culmination of things like and the full moon, the full expression of the meaning of wisdom that we have been dealing with the sun is exposing how we've been dealing with this Gemini energy and the seeds that we have planted, especially from the new moon when we had this new way of thinking and organizing our mind and directing our mind, of directing our curiosity of how we speak and converse with other people. We'll see how that had panned up. Our slice of that, how we looked at Gemini, how we communicate and stuff like that, and the thoughts that we keep on our mind. If on this full moon you experience more full moon moments and you can't find meaning and reasoning for things, or when you go and find meaning and reasoning for things, you find shallow ends, or you had invested into information that really didn't amount to much, or relationships that really didn't amount to much, or maybe you had um, went off a little bit too broad, and then now with the or you went off a little bit too much, and now with the broader scope, you really see how far away you had taken yourself. Another way how that can pan out, but you definitely come to see what you've been paying attention to, where you've been directing your
Mm.
mind, and and how much wisdom and knowledge you're able to draw up from that will let you know whether your mind was on some nonsense, because that's always lingering Gemini season, in that Gemini energy. When we're focusing on how our mind is directed, that Hermes energy goes shoot, 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 shoot. Your mind goes so fast. Your mind goes to all different types of areas, and it's indiscriminate in that way, in terms of your mind doesn't exclude thoughts. So it really takes some strong will to be like a mental pilot to direct where your mind goes. So it's so easy to get caught up in that, to get caught up in the distractions, to have your mind go and analyze things, and try and figure things out, ask questions, speak in ways, share information, or speak about things, that really don't end up providing you with any wisdom at the end of the day. Just drained energy.
So you could say that the full moon in Sagittarius is allowing you to come up with this whole like neurological way of approaching what you just breathed in Gemini or what you spoke about. So you could expand your tissue. That's what Sagittarius deal with. It deals with journeys, long distance travel because it allows for expansion. The sun and Gemini could be limited based upon the logic of Geminis because Gemini sometimes they could be too logical with ideas, thoughts, and this is where the full moon comes in to allow that expansion, broad-minded sense to increase like your capacity of thinking. So you just get lost in these certain thoughts within your
Mm-hmm.
surroundings because there's a bigger world to your surroundings. This is what Sagittarius teach Gemini.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. And just even how that's something that will be really exposed to. You're right, in terms of that frustration that you would have with your immediate surroundings, and whether that feeling of you needing to travel far or to go somewhere else to try and get meaning and
Mm,
wisdom, and where your mind's at for that, or if you're able to see the meaning and reason wisdom from the experiences that you went through in your current surroundings, in your, especially with Gemini, early education, and your immediate surroundings, your
okay.
neighbors, your household, your friend circle, and stuff like that, and all of the lessons that these things had provided you. A lot of that stuff starts to be realized. Um, and walk the talk. That's what the Gemini and Sagittarius really remind me of too. That's something that'll really be tested because it's the spring season. This is the transition of spring to us to really fully express ourselves. So as we're going into the point where we're really expressing this internal thing that we had given birth to in Aries, Gemini is like we're testing it out. Gemini is like the test
Mm,
season where we give birth to something, we establish its value and its stability and how it can work for us and what we need, and now we're testing that out and seeing how it balance off with other people and the possibilities that are out there. So you already had claimed an I am and already have established your value of what you're going to use, and now you're communicating and talking about it, trying to plant those seeds so that you can fulfill those steps. But now in the full moon coming around to Sagittarius, how are you doing that energy? Can you walk the talk that you were doing now, Now we're in that mode of extracting meaning, reasoning for things. If you're kind of reckless in this Gemini energy, it's going to be exposed, and we're gonna see that recklessness, or that scattered mind, that talking about things that they really can't do or prove or really don't know information about. That if you're caught talking about that type of stuff that you haven't experienced yourself, that you're just having that you're just talking about, or maybe that you had heard something, that you want to have a conversation about, but haven't really gone in there. That'll really start being
mm,
exposed. Mercury and Gemini too, adding on to all of that
So like
energy.
I feel like this
Really, where your mind's
yeah, so I feel
directed.
like on the positive side, this energy will allow you to expand Jupiter on more ideas that you gathered Gemini. But on the negative side, you could expand on some
Mm-hmm.
stupid things that you've been scattered about this whole season about.
On some bullshit, for sure. For sure. But you can also, yeah, cover. You're exactly, directing your mind to the right things, or understand your mind in
Mm,
general. That's what people have to realize with Gemini's. Gemini's have to understand the aspects of them, and they really. It's hard to have the outside perspective, especially when you're, and that's why they kind of need friends. That Scorpio friend, the Sagittarius, to put that external perspective. But you start to understand, okay, how does my mind work? Instead of saying, oh, I'm a victim, my mind gets taken a lot of things, instead of being victimized by the aspect. Understand how your mind travels and the things that attract it, and how it tends to go. And once you start understanding it in that nature, you can start placing it in realms of reality where moving in that way is actually beneficial, it's actually successful. And that's a lot of knowledge that this full moon might provide to all of us, and how to use that Gemini energy, and learn from our mistakes, learn from our recklessness, even.
100%. That's it. But like Gemini season, this is just the first uh aspect of building this mental body or this thinking capacity about this unique value that you are developing, because in Libra this is when you're going to be entering the social signs, beginning with Leo, where you're going to present everything you're that being communicating about, building about, feeling, visioning about, and things of that nature, and then go present that on the red carpet, Leo, the fifth house. That's Leo season. But you gotta prepare things and prepare how you communicate in Gemini, because Gemini sextile Leo and sees opportunity to be what on the red carpet.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. the potential that it can be to present itself. You're right. It's like the prototype. It's kind of like the first
Mm.
test. Yeah, for sure,
And like Lilith,
for sure. And then yes,
yeah, but Lilith was also there in Gemini, so there's a
yeah,
whole sense of embarrassment about how to go about it. Because a lot of people don't pay attention to asteroids.
that's facts. And then even you saying that, that's where the North Node was just coming out of. You know, so that area was raw, or very uncomfortable, or that was God's way, or a lot of lessons were being shown to us in the direction that we were supposed to be heading was in that Gemini aspect in terms of the truth of things and what is being said. And look at what was happening. We was all getting flunked out on, oh, this is what's most logical, or this is how these people feel, and blah 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 blah. I was like, no, this was what was said, you know, and that was a little bit more uncomfortable for us to step into that reality and to say that, you know, we needed the Geminis then, you know, to just blurt out and say, you know, George Bush doesn't care about black people. We needed that Gemini to say that during that time. So you're right. With Lilith being there too, adding on to that rawness. Mercury going into Gemini too. We were kind of talking about that energy. You know, it's adding not since it's at home now, it's going to be able to process things, especially with the full moon type energy going on, and you're starting to see all of these things in front of you. Mercury and Gemini start helping you process and be like, okay, this is why that happened. This is why that happened. Okay, okay, this is why that happened. And then have a better go about trying things out, and where to direct your mind now.
And like this is interesting to point out. Always pay attention to how the sun travels first into an area, then the ruler of that area comes after. So the sun allows us to become more aware of like how to communicate. What is this communication is, analyzation is. This is what our fifth house solar plexus deal with. But with Mercury finishing retrograding, polishing our value, polishing our tools, going back into Gemini, this is us like having our mind back. Now we could see everything, especially with all those degrees that the sun will have dived deeper into this Gemini season, especially with the conclusion of the full moon, broadening our sense of horizon, optimism, and things of that nature.
Yeah, for sure, for sure. It's like the sun illuminated what needs to be talked about, and how we're talking and how we're going about this, and then as Mercury comes in and follows, it's like, okay, after it showed us, now we can go about this in a more proper way. You're right. It's universe giving us alley oop, mental alley oop right now. It's like, yeah, confuse you, but you know, it'll all start to make sense.
So if you don't feel confident using your Gemini energy right now, your respiratory system, don't worry about it. As more planets go towards Gemini, Venus, and things of that nature, you all these planets would develop that body part for you, so you have a better way of utilizing that organ, that body parts. So you could right now you just had a
Exactly.
a lighter aspect of it. This is just the sun going about it. This is an awareness.
It's bringing light to these things now, and then later on you'll start to see, you know, how all of your other aspects start coming into play to, you know, heal that energy or to make you able to do that type of stuff. For sure. And then Mars is making a conjunction with Chiron and Aries. So what is this? Like passionate healing, passionate,
Passionate healing or
you know,
passionate separation.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. Even hurt, you know, where you're, and then Chiron has been highlighting this healing aspect that we have needed in the individual and in our personal desires. How we have been going about, you know, it's like the individual has been stifled. I see what you mean with separation too. And even Chiron, like the representation for it is like a guy on the wheelchair type thing. So I understand that separation, but he can heal people. But even though, you know, he lost his abilities, so it's kind of like
Like the way I see is like a Mars is a college kid. He came back from high school. While Carrion is like grandma. Grandma has a lot of wisdom. She went through a lot of pain. She has dementia, but like she understand how to heal the family trauma. So like when Mars come back from college, being this aggressive kid, this gang member, seeing that nature, grandma Carrion watching Mars doing this could aggravate her dementia, aggravate her injury. So she watching Mars doing this now she goes back to her like post traumatic problems and things of that nature. She lose her sense of soul, so her heart start having problem. She start having malfunction, so she dies and things of that nature. Or
Mm-hmm.
Mars could be the
Mm-hmm.
person who takes responsibility to heal grandma. Why I'm saying this? I'm saying this because Mars have conjuncting Jupiter. Jupiter had this debate with Mars, telling Mars, "I you don't have to be so aggressive, passionate, burn everything, but you could go through learning experiences and know that every single war had a meaning and reasoning. You could expand out of your anger. You could expand out of your desire. It doesn't always have to lead to blood." Shed and things of that nature.
Mm-hmm.
So Jupiter is giving this Mars this heads up as it hits
Mm-hmm.
Carrion. So like if you knew that ahead of time, you know right now how to correlate the whole trauma and the whole injury towards your head, your brain, and nervous system. Aries, the first house. You could deal with it because Carrion
Exactly.
give you the access to expand that tissue with Jupiter right there in Aries, the first house. While Carrion is the injury, the part of your brain you can't access.
Yeah, I so see that. That's facts. Jupiter would have shown you the bigger picture and have help you reorganize where you should be directing your faith, and what you should be believing in. So as you go into this aggravation in this moment where this old wound is being challenged, this aggravation in this old spot that you had a connection to that the bigger picture, so you may be able to see establish more meaning and reasoning for it, and actually you're right, listen to that senile or the grandma with dementia. I love that example. That was perfect because exactly because Mars either it can re-aggravate the trauma that was built up for the experiences that was went through, or they can start getting better understanding of where that energy comes from and where it leads to, where it's kind of you're having a glimpse of where it led to and the first instance of that coming. So it's letting you know where you should be directing this anger or this passion, this desire, because it had ended up in this old wound previously in this other situation, and then you're right, Jupiter really did help give us this broad perspective, help give us our faith, So we're moving in terms of
Mm-hmm.
faith, we're moving in terms of spirituality, but we're giving birth within our desires. So it's not necessarily straight recklessness, it's kind of backed behind some meaning and
Mm-hmm.
purpose, which your helps tame that Mars and Aries, so it's not as
Mm-hmm.
aggressive, or I can at least, while it's being aggressive, obtain some meaning from that and gain some wisdom from
Because
it.
you learn how to communicate about and argue about it. Because remember, we had this whole sextile with Jupiter and Mars sextiling the Sun in early Gemini, but right now the Sun is in late Gemini, while
Mm-hmm.
the full moon is in Sagittarius. And where's the ruler of Sagittarius? Jupiter. Is in Aries, because so based upon how
Aries.
much you mentally expanded right now, you could fully emotionally broad on like in a broad sense deal with these thoughts and ideas and handle and know how to direct your passions and desires, because the full moon is brought this full experience and full concluding of what you mentally traveled so far to communicate about dealing with your passions and desires. Mars and Jupiter and Aries.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Facts. Yeah, that's facts. And then Venus is conjunct Uranus in Taurus. Definitely crazy. Definitely
Mm,
shaking up our whole value system and what we know that we can have. I think people are starting to realize where they're not always going to have things, or the things that they have can quickly be taken
mm,
away, or that their
yeah.
stability can really be
Mm,
challenged. where it's Venus experiencing this challenge just at home, and then there's this eccentric character, that cousin that they don't really like, that goes and touches their toy, it fucks up your whole room and shit like that. And it's like, what's going on? And you're like, oh, they're gonna stay here for a couple of months, and it's like, what do you mean a couple of months? Type deal. Seems like that's what's going on with Venus. What do you
So basically, in my opinion, that Venus is getting demanded of Uranus to really uphold some higher values and not get lost in the so animalistic trait of Venus in Taurus. Lost in food, lost in releasing hormones to attach to yourself to the physical world. So right now you're addicted to the senses. You want to see more, you want to feel more, and things of that nature. Uranus is hitting Venus, your hormones, with this higher voltage of energy to allow to expand beyond its physical capacity, so we could bring a better physical existence into this world, not just a lower animalistic based upon our desire. We want to bring a higher technological existence into this earth that we live in. Taurus. So this is what Uranus demanding out of Venus. So you can see this with the whole world. Crypto right now, a lot of crypto stocks markets is crashing down, but you could see how the whole world is trying to go a direction as Pluto is transforming the stock markets, transforming economy, the structure, while it's getting replaced by something else. That goes back to how they brought the internet with Uranus and Gemini, and like the whole like civil war, like
Mm-hmm.
back then when Uranus was in Gemini, but Jupiter was in Aries. I think that's what when the civil war happened. So um, that's gonna be very important to deal with, to figure out what's the unique value
Yeah.
that you're bringing, because you don't have to rely on their unique value, because everybody's gonna bring their own sense of Uranus energy into this world. You could either support theirs or like come up with your own type of energy, and that allows you to like be a whole new person.
Mm-hmm. For sure. And it's like, and for sure, Uranus is adding this aspect where it's public, where it's social, whereas just like, even like, say for instance, how like you can have a private conversation with somebody, but then they can go and post it online, type shit like that. It's that type of shit where this is how you communicate on a one-on-one basis, Venus, but it's being projected to a much larger, to a social atmosphere, Uranus. So it's like, these things that you value, this your sense of self-worth, and the things that it's stable, is so intertwined in your social life that this is what's creating all of this
Mm-hmm.
variability,
Mm-hmm.
and making it so changeable, because of all of these external factors that are playing a role in your personal stability. So learning how to be, yeah, operate on exactly like what you were saying, operate on that higher octave with your senses of
Mm-hmm.
values, is what's going to help you prepare to be able to handle the shock value of the changes that's going to happen. Understanding the originality, having your own slice of that. You're absolutely right about
Mm-hmm. So
that.
it's like you gotta figure out your own stability, while Uranus, the one of the co-rulers of Aquarius, is getting stabilized by Saturn. So Saturn is stabilizing your mind, while Uranus is destabilizing your body. It's like this weird whole like type of existence right now we're experiencing. It's like we can't live in our body and we can't exist in our mind either.
That's facts. That's facts. Sun in Gemini squaring Neptune and Pisces. How do you think this is going to hit the
So
collective?
as we diving deeper and deeper into the world of communication, figuring out how to communicate about our sense of unique value, seeing how the world is attempting to manipulating us with information, internet, our surroundings, media, and things of that nature. Gemini, the gift of two gap, hitting you with hitting you like with two punches, you didn't even realize you got hit by them, and things of that nature. So with the whole square to Neptune,
Mm-hmm.
they could emphasize like the whole world getting lost in more delusions, imagination, more shutdowns, more possibility of diseases, uh, the possibility of escaping reality through a dream and an illusion, then talking about it. It's almost like they're gonna present a imagination, then Gemini we're gonna talk about it. So, or you're gonna have a lot of subconscious chatter, because that's what I see with the Sun in Gemini squaring Moon and Pisces. So a lot of communication between like thoughts and like the subconscious in the world.
Facts. Something that's being put in front of us, something that was being said or communicated to us, information that comes out or that's being shared that serves to add to more
Yeah.
confusion. I definitely
Hmm.
see that. You're right about that. Some information coming out that starts drawing or challenging certain belief systems and stuff like
Which is
that.
kind of funny that Mercury is coming direct right now. So, so
Exactly, coming direct and coming into that energy.
so like us diving deeper and deeper into communicating about this delusion and this imagination that we're giving meaning and reasoning to.
Yep, and more confusion on that realm. So you see how it goes. That's crazy because now Mercury's going to be in its home, and then we're having all of this boost of mental power. But there's going to be that friction that Neptune is given in Pisces in terms of we won't be able to freely communicate and just say things. And we see this in reality because of people's feelings or because of what people believe, and where they're placing their belief. It creates this whole fog that distorts communication, so that you don't even really start seeing what's being said, or you start believing that some things on someone's mind when that's really not because of this cloud of confusion that's on there. So
So Monday is gonna be a highly confusing.
definitely making it hard to
So
navigate.
Monday a highly confusing day. This heavy immutable energy getting scattered from every single angle. Just expect to get uh, thrown into the world of like I don't know what to do today.
Exactly, and to understand experience, and to be a little bit more receptive with that type of stuff, in terms of there's a lot of meaning and wisdom that can be extracted from that confusion, or that confusion's really pointing to you into real directions where that require your attention and that can provide actual opportunity for change in your life. So yeah, definitely. While it's going to be confusion, don't just diswrite confusion, or when things don't make sense. Understand that things all lead up to things, and that where this can be, what this could be adding towards, and how you can learn from it.
Mm,
Looking at Tuesday,
you
um, we have the Moon in Capricorn making in conjunction with Mercury in Gemini. How do you think this hits us?
So after we came up with the broad-minded conclusion about what we communicated so far through a higher spiritual aspect point of view, so our emotion is currently in the area of drying up and getting very serious to initiate some form of business or some form of status that we could stand on based upon the broad-minded conclusion that we developed on Sagittarius. So the more broad-minded conclusion that you had, or the more scattered restless you were in Gemini, the full moon in Sagittarius is gonna be how you're gonna be acting. When the moon goes into Capricorn, it's gonna be what action you're planning to take. Because once we go from Sagittarius to Capricorn, this is us entering to the winter season. This is the God realm. This is the highest aspect of the Kabbalah tree. Can you take one idea from the lower section and bring it up here? Can it survive up there? Can it go through the test of time with the Pluto
Mm-hmm.
conjunction? Can it handle the Saturn conjunctions? Can it handle the Neptune conjunction and things of that nature?
Mm-hmm.
Mm.
Yeah, yeah, you're right. Especially coming off of Sagittarius, where all of these things are being revealed, and you're being exposed to the meaning and reasoning from your experiences. Now you know whether you've been indulging into some bullshit or not, or where you have been directing your mind. Now Capricorn's adding more of a professional poise to this type thing. Now Gemini is becoming a little bit more professional in terms of that expression, and conservative, where it's Gemini doesn't just go off saying everything. Now you're starting to see its words a little bit more conservative, more planned out, and more precise into the purpose. And now it's getting scary because now that Gemini's energy is starting to become a little bit more refined, and now it's not as reckless. Now you can direct your curiosity into right ways and create stability within those areas. It can also play out as with um, yeah, with Capricorn adding more, or with the moon in Capricorn adding more, letting you know how to manage the thoughts that you did had so that you don't further go into direct your mind into bullshit, or helping you gain more control of your mind if your mind had been all over the place by rating in your emotions, because it's hand in hand. So by kind of drying up your emotional responses to things, making you want to seem more professional, more your mind doesn't just go off like that anymore. You kind of have more of a reason to rein it in, to make it more conservative, and to um focus it a little
And
bit
this
more.
whole moon and Capricorn in conjunct Mercury and Gemini, you can see how it plays out with the news versus the government. Because sometimes the news, Gemini, communicate about wrong things. They say the wrong things. And Capricorn, the structure has to come harsh on what? The news. This is why China, Russia don't fuck with what? The news, the Gemini. That's the whole in conjunction between them. So as like your emotions reaching this place of wanting to be more business oriented, reality based, so you could move forward into this whole God realm. Your thoughts is being reorientated for the sake of business status, not just being scattered. You should already learn enough based upon how far your sun, your awareness traveled in Gemini.
On how to speak and communicate. Now you need to manage those abilities and
Mm-hmm.
find practical ways of going about that.
Yeah, the moon in Capricorn will manage Mercury and Gemini for you, in a sense.
In terms of even constricting the range, and that's what Gemini is all about. I mean, Sagittarius is all about expansion. This is why it's Jupiter, Saturn, where we expand so we can see things in broader perspectives. But then you don't, you're not always brought in and expanded. This is why we have our awareness is at these levels, because you build up to things at that time, but then you can see things at a bigger picture. But you can't, even though like you can dibble dabble with astrology, you can't fully have a type of planetary consciousness awareness and still be in this body. This physical vessel would not be able to handle that type of thing. So this is where Saturn comes in terms of organizing that and constricting that and showing you where to go. It's like you see what it could be. All right, now let's build it. It's not supposed to stay on that broad, but that's the axis that plays the where expansion and contraction, and this is why all of the like the God realm signs and Sagittarius to Capricorn. This is why they're ruled by those generational far out planets, because they play out that dynamic of that expansion contraction, and that's how we help God create, for sure. And then later on Tuesday, Venus is conjuncting the North Node. Been waiting for this, and Uranus conjunct the North Node, because I wonder what's gonna be with Uranus. I really think some transhumanism is gonna be presented, or some type of tube that you can use. Like, you don't need to use your arteries anymore. Here's this artery tube, and now niggas can go and buy arteries and shit like that. It's like, no, just eat better, nigga. Why you gonna go here buy? And it's only rich niggas that can go and do it. Procedures expect. But I feel like it's going to be something like along those lines. Kind of changing how we see physical sensation,
Yeah, 100%. Especially with Venus being
or how we
yeah,
experience reality
100%.
like that.
Especially with Venus being the ruler of Taurus, we gonna really feel that change that's gonna affect the whole conjunction with Venus, the head in conjunction with Uranus, then the North and Node. It's almost like we gotta uplift our value, so we gotta take something towards the North Node path. And that's like you can see Venus is being tested by Uranus, then tested by the North Node. And if it doesn't if it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
pass the test, you're gonna be really stuck with nothing, since this is the ruler of towards the second house, confirming the values that you want to bring in.
Venus has to fight for her home in terms of understanding the energy in terms, and I see that a lot with that Taurus energy, especially with Venus and Taurus. I feel like they're so easy because of the desire for stability, because of they would hold on to things that they have and not realize that there's something better out there, or something that's a better fit for it, something that makes more sense, something that's a little bit more stable. But in the need to be secure, they would hold on to what they already have, even despite there being an opportunity for something else, or if they were to let that go, they were to get something else. I feel like this is what Uranus is adding, the change aspect to
Mm,
this. How does your value? How do you stick with your values when things are changed? The North Node. How do you stick with your values and obtain stability when things are uncomfortable, when things are unsure, when you don't know where things are going to end up to, or going to amount to, when you feel out in the dark and naked as a spirit, how do you obtain stability and feel comfortable in that? So you're right. It's a test of a lifetime for
mm,
Venus, for
mm,
sure,
100%.
to reclaim that home.
Reclaiming sovereignty and ownership of your own body.
Facts, facts, facts. That's that energy of Tuesday. So very earthy too, and kind of grounding your mind to your body, and kind of putting you in that seat of really thinking about how these things are affecting you and where those things are going on
Mm-hmm.
Tuesday. On Wednesday, the 15th, Moon's in the later degrees of Capricorn, making that conjunction with Pluto. Um, how do you think this is going to hit us? While making that trine to the North Node.
So like as we are like North Node path, the path of the unknown is getting reorganized in front of us. That we don't know which path we should pick to make a money or find things to find us to make us comfortable in this physical world. The moon and Pluto is hitting this conjunction with Pluto, reminding us there's no changing this whole physical reality. You're seeing how the government is giving out all these loans. You're seeing how the inflation is playing out, and you see the fate of reality. And if you watch the Peace
Mm-hmm.
Dealer, you know how it talks about the Civil War might come back in because Uranus gonna go to Gemini and things of that nature. So
Mm-hmm.
if you know the Civil War could break out in the United States, you could just imagine where the Civil War else gonna break out all over the world. So uh, these things will lead into a quiet like a bad emotional feeling when the moon is goes in Capricorn. So it's gonna be almost like a feeling like you don't have your shit together and you're being punished by Pluto, because Pluto's gonna give you this anxiety, like, oh, I gotta give birth to something, I gotta give birth to something, but I don't know what to give birth to. But then I don't know how to sustain myself within this winter season. How I'm gonna sustain my physical shape or form. So but with the trine that the North Node is creating, is the North Node is like providing all these opportunities, but Pluto is adding the sense of courage and power and control of your own destiny, so you can walk this fixated material path by having this business boss mindset to go about it and things of that nature. A great example is the Great Resignation, which is a movement that been happening since the last year, where people is quitting their job, but for the purpose of what? Taking power and control. Pluto of what? 10th house Capricorn, the structure, the business, who the people who put them through so many hours of work, lesser hours, and things of that nature, bad plans and things of that nature.
And this is why we shouldn't be afraid of Pluto and power control and transformation type energy, because of its influence that it has had on society. A lot of those people took taking that steps towards obtaining more sovereignty and having more control. They seen in ways that they didn't have control over their own life, and how they went about things, and that reminding them and shake them and put them into shape, to go and chase um, other things, or to go and start building that themselves. And that's the toughest thing about Capricorn. People don't realize I have Mars in Capricorn, and it's like I feel that, like, if there's like a sports, or if there's like a school, or if there's like already made structure, like I could get really passionate about it. It'd be better than everybody in it, in a pre-existing structure. But when when you have to build the structure, and you have to build it up yourself, it's like, oh shit, where do these pieces go? It's like normally I run through the track, I don't build the track, you know, and that's a huge problem for all of us. We're so easy on running somebody else's track, using somebody else's world, instead of creating our own track, our own world type aspect. But yeah, that's what that Pluto thing. And then yeah, the trying to it's making us naked. North Node making us feel naked in how we sense the world. Really putting us in the feeling of the transformation, making us feel naked.
Yeah.
Really allowing us to follow. It's like spirits whispering in your ear. It's like, do it, nigga. You see everything's crashing down. Do it. Follow that instinct. You feel it. You sense it. To go and follow it.
Yeah, yeah, and like you feel like
That's how Wednesdays look.
like you have no choice too,
Yeah.
because you felt that when the moon was in Scorpio, you felt your vulnerabilities, and Scorpio's second house is Capricorn. They like to value business structures and things of that nature. So the moon in Capricorn is gonna be like a dark moment you're gonna be scared of.
Mhm. 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 Facts, but you're lucky Scorpio was there. People don't realize Scorpio.
Scorpio,
It
it,
prepares you
it,
for the dark.
exactly.
Prepares you for the harsh winter.
Exactly, because it's the fixation of the fall. Because if you know how to fall for a long period of times, most likely you could give birth to death for a long period of times too.
Mm-hmm. And then you'll make it out of the winter, a lot a better shape than the people who are still caught up in the summer type energy when it's
Yeah,
winter
yeah, like
time.
Libras wouldn't make it back like through winter, because because Libras
A
is the
lot.
beginning of the fall season. They think they have what it takes to reach the winter season, but they actually don't. That's the harsh
Yeah,
lesson of
yeah,
Saturn
yeah.
there.
That's where the indecision comes from. They don't know if they want to go into Scorpio. And then that's funny. They don't want to go back into Virgo either. So they're like, oh shit. That's where the indecision comes from for
Mm.
Libra. It's like, oh, where I came from wasn't that nice. So where I'm going to isn't that nice either. I like it
Mhm.
here. Let me stay here. But yeah, that was the energy of Wednesday. Thursday is the moon is moving into the early degrees of Aquarius, making a trine with Mercury and Gemini. And now, how do you think this energy is hitting us?
So the moon in Aquarius is gonna allow us to communicate all of those scattered ideas that we collected so far in Gemini and bring it to this higher octave of existence, our association, the world, the news. Saturn in Aquarius, it represents right now the whole collective. So the moon is Aquarius right now, allowing you to externalize, communicate about all those things you're building about and building about, and the feminine side of Saturn, Capricorn. So the better you're building there, based upon the conclusion that you reach in the full moon Sagittarius, is gonna be what you're gonna be communicating about and the moon in Aquarius. So expect it's gonna be a heavy air-headed energy, but with the moon Aquarius, it's gonna have a direction for the scattered mind of Gemini and vice versa. Gemini will loosen up Aquarius, so Aquarius could gather more ideas as opposed to be so fixated sometimes.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's like that conservative aspect that the moon in Capricorn had added or had made you consider in terms of how you speak and communicate and how you direct your mind. It made you way more likable, made you way more logical in terms of what's actually going on and the moves that are being played and how to respond to your external
Mm-hmm.
environment. It's not necessarily just internal thought comes and communicate anymore. Now it's after that conservative thing where you know what to leave out or what to bring or how to pick the right words at least. Now you picking the right words in terms of what you want to communicate. Now you're creating this network. Now people starting to like you for how you that likability and presentability of how you speak and communicate. And people start to recognize you and know you for how you speak and communicate it. And now you're creating a network of people. Okay, if I want to go speak about this, or if I want to deal with it in this way, I know I go to him. I know I go to her. I know I have these types of conversations and creating a lot of relationships like that, or understanding relationships in a better aspect, um, because of that trine and that alignment, how it's blending. Now you can actually participate in what's most logical and how people are, and now it's more refined. Now of course isn't afraid to bring out the little brother Gemini
Mm-hmm.
anymore, because it's not going to say something stupid to
Mm-hmm.
embarrass it. It knows. Gemini knows that Aquarius is all friends watch anime, so the Gemini comes in and says "bunkai" or something like that, and it's like, oh, okay, okay, he's chill. So he's little bro's homie. He knows the thing. He's cool. He said the right thing at the right time because he knew how to analyze where to direct his mind, and he had picked the right words. He's like, "Do you guys like anime?" Would have been like, "Shut up, you little nigga," But he come and said the right thing. He said "bunkai," and now everybody's like, "Ah, right, this guy's chill. This
Mm-hmm.
guy's chill." That's how I see that
Mm-hmm.
playing out. And then the sextile with Jupiter and Aries with the moon in Aquarius. How do you think this
So
plays
as
out?
you're, because the moon in Gemini is the full conclusion of like the thought process of how you're gonna communicate about what you developed so far with your sun traveling through uh Gemini. But when the moon went to Libra, that's when you figured out how to bring it to your social life, your people you're married to, and the partners in your relationship and things of that nature. Right now, the moon in Gemini is
Mm-hmm.
bring you. This is the highest aspect of communicating. This is you knowing how to communicate, aka of course I know how to communicate about what I'm analyzing is Gemini, and things of that nature. So this sextile with Jupiter is providing you with this expansion that's going on with your nervous system to have a better capacity to hold on to a fire, a vision, an imagination, a future. So you can see how your mental capacity is allowing you to communicate much more better, but also you got this capacity of holding on to this vision. Now you could go communicate, analyze about you having this expansion within your head and things of that nature. So this is much more, I would describe it as you having like an epiphany or a way of innovation. Then Jupiter is adding more expansion to it, is adding more color to the idea.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Exactly. Yeah, for sure. It's like, yeah, that Aquarius, that more likability, that more presentability in terms of being able to connect with a larger amount of people is showing you more opportunities for you to expand your faith in self. Maybe once you start seeing, the possibilities of how you can communicate and connect within the social group, or there's less frustrations in terms of you communicating and the expression of self. You're starting to see, okay, maybe getting more confidence, more faith in your individual expression, and be like, yeah, I can go and follow this idea. Look at how I created these now I have these relationships. Now I have this way of communicating. Now I have this knowledge. So, now I can go about things in a broader sense. Now I can do what I want to do because I have more assets and more connections to go and share these
Mm-hmm.
assets. So I feel like, yeah, for sure, that's a lot that's being recognized on Thursday.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. Looking at Friday, the 17th, the moon into later degrees of Aquarius, we are seeing a conjunction with Saturn in retrograde in Aquarius. How do you think this is going
So
to
as you're
affect us?
emotionally gathering back your ideas, your association, and everything you developed so far with your awareness and Gemini. Right now, you're hitting this bus stop with Saturn. Grandpa wants to check your paperwork. Is your paperwork official? Did you come up with the proper spiritual point of view about what you communicated so far about full moon in Sagittarius? And then did you come up with the proper infrastructure, business needs that you're gonna initiate to this God realm that you want to be part of? That right now you're gonna externalize that Saturn energy and walk around with your chin and then communicate about. But right now Saturn's on a test. Can you stand on your own with your association? Do you have that ability? But that retrograde is bringing that
Yeah,
but
for
the
sure.
retrograde is bringing that sense of maybe you don't have all the details together, but you at least attempting to, and that's what Saturn wants to see. Because Saturn, as you're gonna hit this, you're gonna keep hitting this moon in Aquarius conjuncting Saturn over and over, as Saturn retrograding till Saturn go direct later on, I think Libra season. And that's when you're gonna really have accumulated enough energy with restrictions, boundaries, and collected enough for your association to move forward them in that Libra sign. So you could go into the fall season.
Mm-hmm. And even how you even look at yourself on a social level, like how Aquarius is opposite to Leo. So this axis deals a lot with identity and self-expression. So you're right. As and then Saturn's here, adding contraction to this type of thing, adding responsibilities and boundaries to this type of action. So you're so right in terms of it's making you question these things a lot in terms of how you connect with your associates and how you emotionally go and connect with people on that associate level, which is interesting because Aquarius is all air signs are kind of disconnected. I shouldn't say disconnected, but distant. All air signs are kind of distant. So you see, even having the moon in Aquarius definitely makes you a little bit more distant from your emotions and want to have more control, want to have more knowledge on your emotions, want to have more like this is what it is. I know how I feel, type of deal. So there's definitely a lot of that battle going on. Saturn's making you requiring it. So it's like as you how it's so easy to get lose identity when you're talking about Aquarius and when you're talking about the social life and stuff like that. It's kind of really imperative, for us to go through, or like Saturn's kind of like, you know, molding the right perspective of teamwork makes the dream work, if you get what I mean. It's kind of like you come to it with teamwork makes the dream work, but now it's seeing, there's not enough individuality, there's not enough this, and you're kind of exposing that in terms of Saturn putting you in
Mm,
situations where you can't creatively express
mm,
yourself, where you have a whole bunch of responsibilities for things that you can't emotionally attach to, and you can't feel yourself being a part of this. I feel like that's a lot of what Saturn is gonna throw. It's like, no, teamwork makes, and nothing else is gonna work. So it's like, fuck, I joined the team, but I'm still not manifesting. I don't feel this stability. Things are organized like that. It's like, nah, that's not when t- your team, not a team, your team.
mm,
Is what you have to build up. So that's a huge lesson. I feel like
yeah.
Saturn and Aquarius, and this moon constantly going in it is going to show us, which is probably going to be a little bit more revealed once it starts going direct, or this is what we're contemplating, what we're playing with, as that alignment happens until it starts going direct, and we really start to see teamwork makes the dream work go into play into the last degrees.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm, definitely.
Yeah, and that's how Friday's looking. Looking at Saturday on the 18th, Moon moving into Pisces now, making that square with Mercury and Gemini. Um, how do you think this is gonna hit us?
Uh, we already experienced this quite a little bit earlier with the whole Sun and Gemini squaring Neptune and Pisces. So you're already learning about this whole subconscious scatteredness, or like having all the
Dealing
dealing
with
with
it.
it. Talking about like these deities chasing after you, these goblins, these ghosts, and the esoteric realm, whispering, talking to you, your feelings and emotion. This is you understanding the intuitive behind the scene world and things of that nature. So as your emotions diving more deeper into this sense of being dreamy and giving meaning and reason to your dreams and illusion, because you're receiving from the external world, you're adding more feelings, so you're jumping from different states to a different state. This is all, like Pisces, this is like a esoteric drawing board, because in Capricorn this is also planning time, but in Pisces I feel like this is also planning time from a different perspective, from much more like a dreamy perspective. So with the square
Mm-hmm.
to Mercury, is gonna be almost like, okay, I figured out my values because of the retrograde, and now I'm ready to communicate about it. But I'm emotionally right now in an area where I have to receive more dreams and illusion, receive more messages from the universe before I move forward with communicating or knowing how to argue about what I want to talk about. Mercury and Gemini.
Facts, facts, and you can even see the discrepancy or how you can start to balance them because the square simply makes it with Pisces and Gemini. I see it as you can't do it at the same time, and that's where the frustration comes in terms of your emotion reacting to the feelings and emotions of the collective of all the energy that you had built up and amassed through how you speak and communicate and how you generally interact with one another. But while considering this and being within that energy, you can't necessarily direct your mind. And when you're considering all of the feelings and emotions and the result and the ends of things, how can you transport things when you're thinking about uh, um, where they had previously ended up? It kind of just throws off your direction, which adds to more scatterness. You know, you're adding the mutable to the mutable. It's just making it more scattered, more harder to understand, more hard to perceive. But I think that's in trying to do it at the same time in terms of emotionally respond and react and intuitively link into the state of beings that you had created through what you had said and how that had led to that, how all of the associations that you have built based off of your unique way of communicating and organizing your mind, how that had led into the state of being that you are in now, to the state of being that you had created into your surroundings. But be in that state of being and understand that on an emotional level. But no, but you can't be in that state of being or in that state while you are directing your mind. If you get what I mean, it makes it too broad. So you have to know how to do it at different times or in adjacent with each other in terms of reflect and then direct. If you get what I mean, it's like that's how you kind of manage that square a little bit better. Otherwise, you'll kind of start directing things um, in a way more emotional sense, you know, way more, and not deal with things in the moment, especially with Gemini and Gemini season. Um, a lot of things are happening in the moment that you need to be paying attention to, but you can't be doing that when you're at the result of things, when you're trying to mimic certain states of beings that you had accomplished in the past. So it's like taking that end result knowledge that you have had and using it in the moment. You know what I mean? But you have to understand that it's in you, that you have access to it, and not try and call on it in the moment because now you're thinking about in the past in the moment. I think that that's where that square comes in, where it makes that difficulty. But when you understand that it's part of your state of being, that it's within your subconscious, you know, you put the less pressure to go and find it, and now you can direct your mind a little bit better instead of trying to conflate the two. The semi square with Mars and Chiron and Aries. With how do you see this playing out?
So like semi-squares is like a smaller tension than a regular square. So as we emotionally react to our dreams, illusion, and imagination, like Mars wants to go out and take action on something since it's in home, but Chiron is holding back because it has this self injury it's trying to deal with.
Save
Yeah,
my
it's trying to
leg.
save my leg. While you're emotionally
Hmm.
scattered, giving meaning and reasoning to some next dreams and illusion and imagination, while Mars wants to take action what's currently right in front of it, while your emotions is lost and all over the place. So this semi square is generating tension for you to pay attention and make sure whatever dreams and illusion that you're paying attention to, that you could give birth to, that you could be passionate about, you could be aggressive about, so they match each other out, so there's be lesser tension. Yes.
Right, sure. I see that for sure. And that's the energy of Saturday. Looking at Sunday, the 19th, the moon is moving into the later degrees of Pisces, making that conjunction with Neptune. How do you think this is going to hit us?
So we have either have decided and paid attention or felt or emotionally connected to a good dream or illusion, or something we're gonna escape reality with, based upon the broad-minded conclusion that we came up with the full moon in Sagittarius, with all our thoughts and ideas, Sun in Gemini. But the moon in late Pisces right now conjuncting Neptune, this is right, sending you to the extreme dream world. This is you either knowing, bringing your own dream world here to escape this reality, or coming up with some next dream world that has nothing to do with this reality to escape this reality. And there's a very thin line of, and when it comes to about how using dreams and illusions, thin line. This is why it deals with being delusional or escapism, drug habits, and things of that nature. So the moon in late Pisces confirming with you what type of dreams do you want to bring into reality. And that's it. And then the
Hmm.
sextile with Uranus and Taurus and the North Node is like, alright, you have this dream, alright, we're gonna create this physical world for it. We want this earth to look like how you feel inside.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, I'm creating that opportunity for you to see those emotions and those emotional states of beings, your belief systems, and where you're directing your faith in your body. It's really going to be affecting your hormonal system, or boosting your hormonal system, whatever side of the axis that you're on. But it's going to be revealing that to you and give you the opportunity for you to go and take, more control of that, more direction into where that should go, for
Mm-hmm.
sure.
And like this,
And then it's also making a try.
not
Yeah.
this will either give you more dreams and illusions about what you're talking about, what you're thinking about, or this will send you, make you escape away from your what you're thinking about and what you're arguing about and like what you got it so far.
From your
Yeah,
mind. Yeah, hands
yeah,
down.
like you have your
Hands down.
subconscious right here and you have your thoughts right here, and you're gonna be like jumping in between them, because you're not gonna feel safe, because it'll be based upon the
Mm-hmm.
decision that you made with all this mutable energy.
Exactly. Kind of like
Yeah.
abracadabra. We were looking at that word, me and my girlfriend. How it means I speak, I create what I speak, or I speak what I create, and that kind of feels like it. Whereas you realize that in different aspects, with Gemini, or maybe in relation, it's the mutable signs that I see it too. In terms of you speak what you create. Now you see what type of circumstances and routine you create yourself when you're looking at Virgo. You see what type of future that you're creating yourself when you're talking about Sagittarius. But you're seeing what type of states of beings, emotional states of beings that you are creating with Pisces. So it's kind of really showing you how when you speak and the words that you say and how they connect to how the state of being that you are in, currently, and how you create states of beings. It's really in that realm of reality where you are sensing the state of being that you're in and understanding how your beliefs have led you here, and kind of coming to terms and trying to reconcile with those subconscious thoughts. All the thoughts that you had entertained in Gemini, you thought, oh, I'm gonna just put this behind me. Oh, I'm gonna just put this behind me. I'm attached to this new. They're all there, and Pisces is trying to remind you of that, so that it could be cleaned out or addressed, at least addressed in some way, or else that shit manifests as disease later on if you leave that shit alone. And as you could like neurological type mishaps, losing grip on reality.
Because you didn't realize it, a lot of people with mental health issue, they have a difficulty when it comes to interpreting how the physical world feel outside to them, because what we're doing with all our biology is try to match our internal environment with our external environment. A great example: when it's cold outside, you attempt to wear jackets and things of that nature to what, to warm your internal environment. So you just try to match your internal with the external. So you can see this a lot with people with mental health issues or like biological body dysfunction, with the body parts, the 12 houses, do not know how to communicate with each other. Their timing is off. They don't know how to connect and things of that nature.
Exactly. Yeah, it's more mutable and scattered. You kind of getting lost in that when they're in the same area, but they're not moving in a pattern or with direction.
And like they play out as the most hardest organs to handle and to deal with. For example, Gemini, your respiratory system. People smoke just to handle out their nerve issues and things of that nature. Bad breathing problem, and then we got Sagittarius. This is your muscular system, but also your liver. We got Virgo, your digestive system. You hear all about digestive system issues, diarrhea, and things of that nature. And then you got Pisces, people got acne, bad skin, and things of that nature. So, yeah.
And then Pisces is also dealing with drug use, heavy drug use, alcohol, and stuff like that. In terms of that escapism too. So you can see a lot of that too. Maybe you'll even find difficulty in communicating, and maybe it will lead to those type of aspects, or more escapism. But you definitely don't want to run away from that energy, because you can't fucking run away from that energy. You're gonna have to deal with it eventually. That's what Pisces always tries to do. Pisces always tries to run away for some reason, acting like you could get away from these responsibilities. You can imagine it away, so let me pretend it doesn't exist. But it's representing itself to you so it can be addressed. So heavy spiritual energy, which can be feel confusing. It can feel like you don't know what's going on. But if you recognize it and know that this is an intuitive pull, that it's showing you where your beliefs are, what state of being that you are, where you are in the esoteric realm, and how you can better direct yourself, you can take more control of that.
100%.
Sunday's very spiritual. All these contacts, Moon and Pisces, Neptune and Pisces, making these aspects. Probably making us speak about our spirituality and our beliefs a whole lot, and even with the sextile, we're talking about how we feel in the body, what's real. We're even putting these things up to our senses. Where we're providing physical proof of the beliefs that we have, and because we've been dwelling on these beliefs and these stated beings, that we have more physical proof now that is providing more access for us to communicate.
We're not sure of our physical proof because the North Node is retrograding in Taurus too, so like it adds more lack of uncomfortability and things of that nature.
Makes you naked, makes you feel naked. Yeah, it's like you're taking a leap of faith, or you really have to expose yourself to get that accomplished. And yeah, that's what it's looking like. That's Sunday. Yeah, so that's the alignments for the week. If you fuck with the reading, check out our website, truspace.biz, our Instagram, truspace_, kicking that daily esoteric content for ya. And like and subscribe the video if you found it helpful, if you enjoyed. Help us keep this going.
Thank you guys for listening.
For sure. Peace out.